Today's show is brought to you by LootCrate.com. Save 10% on any new subscription at www.tryloootcrate.com/blackcat. Enter promo code BRIDGE10 for 10% savings.
She thinks there's something in the house. I don't know.
You believe me, right?
Doors are locked, alarm is on. If anything walks through here, it's gonna leave a pretty good footprint.
Did you hear that? Oh my God.
There's footsteps in, but there's no footsteps out.
You cannot run from this. It will find you.
This woman, same things happen to her.
Oh God. I feel it breathing on me.
Looks like something big here.
You stop following me with the camera.
I'm in control.
You got that.
Is imagination simply contained in the mind? Or does it tap into an unseen world with messages waiting to be told? There is a place where legends cross over into our world, where strange visions and whispers beckon, and superstition takes hold. Step into the Black Cat's shadow.
Welcome back to the Black Cat Shadow. I'm your host Andy, podcasting from Kansas City, Missouri.
And I'm Phantom Dark Dave, coming at you from the heart of Texas. With us today, an actress, well, from my part of town. In 2007, she showed us what it was like to be possessed in one of the most successful independent horror films of all time. 7 years have passed, and she has carried the combining torch through nearly the entire franchise. She is the one who hovers over your bed at 2 a.m, but don't worry, we got it all on camera. Please welcome to the show the star of the Paranormal Activity franchise, Katie Featherston. Katie, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. This is so fun.
All right. No, we definitely are excited to have you on here and honored that you took some time out to kick it with us and talk about some paranormal activity. So I want to go all the way back to the beginning, and I want to know, first and foremost, when did you decide that you wanted to be an actress?
Oh, wow. My mom would say it was much earlier than this, because I think I always had an interest in it, even though I was, being from Texas, I certainly wasn't in the world of Hollywood at all. But I made the decision the first day of 7th grade. I had a drama class, my very first drama class, and I was like an intensely shy child. I couldn't speak in public. I just was very painfully shy. And I signed up for this drama class, and we were sitting in there, and I was so scared. And our teacher said, "Okay, guys, you're going to do an improv, 5 kids go on up and blah, blah, blah." And I just remember sitting in my seat thinking, Katie, you can just be terrified this entire year, or you can just get out of your chair, get up there and do it. So I just went up there, we did this improv, and I was like the funny person in the back or whatever, and played some funny character. And I remember people laughed, and it was like this magical world had opened up, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And truly, they're probably not laughing they're probably laughing like at me, like it was probably not a great improv, but I felt elated, like I couldn't believe that I had done something that had elicited laughter from people. And I was like, that's it, I'm going to be an actress, it's decided. And I went home and told my parents, and they were like, oh, what a nice idea. And my mom always totally was on board. It took my dad a few years, but I never looked back. That was it. That was the day.
Yeah, I'm sure looking back now, they're glad they assisted you in that path.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, obviously, the Paranormal Activity was your big break, but were you always looking to do specifically horror, or was just an opportunity you couldn't pass by?
No, I fell into it. I just wanted to do good work. I always really liked scary movies growing up. I always kind of tried to find the scariest movie I could find, and always wanted to really be super scared. So I enjoyed that genre growing up, but it wasn't a specific goal. And then, but I saw the audition, you know, it was, I think my first year in LA, it was one of my first auditions, and it looked like the guy who wrote it, Oren. He looked like he was really taking it seriously, and that was exciting for me because I was so new. I was straight out of college, and it seemed intriguing. And so, you know, it all kind of like unfolded after that.
So I thought that you and Mika in the film had some really great chemistry going on. Did you guys actually know each other before you started filming?
No, we actually met at the callback. We met at the callback, and I think Oren released our audition tapes, which is pretty cool. So they're out there on the internet somewhere. But we met at the callback, and there was no like getting to know each other or anything. Oren just kind of looked at us and was like, "Hey, how did you guys meet?" And then Mika and I looked at each other, and then just spontaneously together started making up a story about how we had met. And the rest is history. And it was kind of, you know, I appreciate you saying we had good chemistry. I think we did. He's a cool guy, and we're still dear friends. And you know, sometimes when everything lines up, you just cross paths with people you're supposed to work with. And I think that certainly happened for Mika and Oren and I.
Yeah, it definitely felt like that just as a viewer. And it seemed like there was a lot of, like, everything felt very organic, very natural. Was there a lot of like written dialogue and like things scripted out, or was there a lot of ad lib and improvisation going on while you're filming?
In the first one, it was all improv. Oren really knew, you know, he had ideas for scenes, and he knew a lot of kind of bigger ideas of what he wanted. So, you know, that was kind of like a good structure to go by, but the actual content of the scenes and how we related to each other, and, you know, even the ending of the movie, we all created together as we were going along. And it was really cool. It was like, looking back, I really had such fun filming that first movie because I was able to be both an actress and a director and a producer and kind of a writer. Like, you know, we were all kind of doing different things. It was so collaborative. And I think, you know, being in a situation where it was so collaborative and I was allowed to have my hands in everything, and that was welcomed, was something that I didn't like recognize how lovely that was at the time, because coming from theater, that's kind of what I was used to. And so it was a really great way to spend my first movie, you know.
Yeah, it sounds like a fun experience.
I know I did a lot of research and reading like anybody else does, especially anybody that spends a lot of time on IMDb. And it says that the film took about 10 days to shoot. Was that like a consecutive week and a half where time just, it was long hours and drag on, or did the whole thing just go by really fast?
You know, I feel my memory, and it's been so long now that sometimes I feel like memory changes things, but I remember it being like a week, like 7 days, because I took a week off. I was waiting tables, and I took a week off of work. And I remember doing the math and thinking, like, I'm getting paid exactly what I would have made waiting tables for a week. So I can do this and still pay rent at the end of the month. And it did, I mean, it was almost around the clock. I mean, we slept at night, but one night we didn't. One night we shot through the night and got a lot of stuff done. But, you know, it was like non-union. There was no crew, you know, to speak of, like lighting guys or stuff like that. So it was easier for us to just kind of go with the flow and work around the clock. But we were having so much fun that it didn't feel like work.
You know, in the midst of that shoot, you know, even though it was fun, I'm always curious, you know, when you're filming something, you know, that deals with like spiritual things or, you know, like spiritual battles going on. You know, you always hear these stories about some of these other movies like The Exorcist and things like that, where they actually had like weird things happen on set. Did you guys have anything like that happen while you were filming?
Not that I remember. I mean, it really was. I think people want that because it like adds to it. And I wish that I had like this great story to tell people. But the truth is we really had a blast. Like when we would take breaks, Mika and I would watch Ali G. Do you remember Ali G with Borat? That guy who did all of that. So I had never seen it before, and we would watch that show, and I was like losing my mind with laughter so much that Oren eventually like said, "You guys are not allowed to watch that anymore. It's ruining the vibe of the movie. It's banned until the shoot's over." And so, you know, we really had a lot of fun. We have a secret DVD of outtakes that are just like funny outtakes that no one will ever see but Oren and Nika and I. So no scary stories, just a lot of really fun memories.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I had wrote this film a few years ago when I was trying to be in the ABCs of Death, and we have a special thing at Outtakes where one of our actors is talking to a woman and he clearly calls her a man, and nobody caught it. And I'm on the side like, did that just happen? And then everybody breaks out in laughter. So I think there's always some really great behind the set stories.
I have to give Warren credit because when the movie was over, as a thank you, he sent each of us the box set of all the like HBO, Ali G, Borat, like
oh no,
nice.
Yeah, it was really sweet.
For you listeners of Black Hat Shadow, Loot Crate is offering an opportunity to save 10% on any new subscription at lootcrate.com. Enter promo code BRIDGE10 for 10% savings. So if you don't know about Loot Crate is a monthly mystery crate that delivers the best in geek and gaming gear. From collectibles, apparel, tech gadgets, art, and other epic gear, it's like Comic-Con in a box. For less than $20 a month, you get 6 to 8 items that include licensed gear, apparel, collectibles, unique one-of-a-kind items, and more. You have until the 19th at 9 p.m. Pacific time to subscribe and receive that month's crate, and when the cutoff happens, that's it, it's over. In October, you get an exclusive Stranger Things diorama. It's pretty cool. It shows Eleven and the Demogorgon in the classroom scene, so that looks really cool. By supporting Loot Crate, you support the Black Cat Shadow. Then again, you can sign up at trylootcrate.com/blackcat and enter code BRIDGE10 to save 10% on any new subscription.
So a question you probably get asked a lot, I just have to know is, there's no way, especially, with the 7 days you spent on set, there's no way anyone could predict the amount of success the film would have or how it was going to be perceived. What was your reaction when you found out, hey, we're going to make a part 2?
Oh, gosh. There was so much that came before making a part 2. It was like there were like these tiny, tiny, tiny moments that sort of led up to it being released. Like we shot the majority of the movie in that 1 week. But once, other people got involved and Paramount got involved, Spielberg got involved, then it was like there were a couple of reshoots we needed to do. So those happened later. Not reshoots necessarily, but like additional shots. And so there was that kind of stuff. And then there was just the fact that those people were interested, and there were, just a lot of steps that led up to it being kind of what it was. But I think when we realized how much money it was making, we all kind of went, oh, I bet they're gonna do that. It was never something that we had. We didn't foresee any of it. All we ever wanted was to make the best movie that we could possibly make because we care about our work. And kind of like whatever happens. And then, this insane life-changing thing actually does happen, which is so unexpected. So I think there was so much surprise even before finding out that they were going to make a second one, that when they said they were going to make a second one officially, like we kind of already knew. But we were still, I think, all of it was all a blur. It was all a crazy blur of everything you could imagine, like fun, excitement, fear, newness, everything. It was an intense, crazy time.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people who really like the first one also really like the second one, and something that the second one did, hopefully not spoiler for anybody because this is a damn good franchise, but the second one takes you in and you go, oh, okay, cool, this is like a prequel. It's kind of lining up, and then you realize, but it's also kind of a sequel, because you get to come back in and it leaves off where the first one, ends. Did you have your hands involved with any of the writing or production of that, or were you just solemnly the actress this time?
No. Once the first one was over, then we were just, just the actors. And we had, the team got bigger. Chris Landon wrote like the script. And when I say wrote the script, he wrote the plot. The second one still had a lot of improv. It's kind of like each movie had a lot of improv, but maybe a tiny bit less than the one before it, if that makes sense. So in the second one, we were still improving a huge amount, but there were also like sides for us to look at to kind of give us an idea of what world we were in. So it was in some ways a more of a traditional acting experience, where you show up and there's like a crew and press services and scripts and sides and dailies and all this kind of stuff. So it was a bigger experience than the first in some ways.
So now that you're like a horror icon, like how does that feel? I mean, can you still go to the grocery store and buy groceries, or like do people like follow you everywhere you go?
No, I can definitely still do everything like a normal person, which is wonderful and good. I hope that for the rest of my career, I always am able to go to the grocery store without at least paparazzi noticing. People do recognize me but they're always, the cool thing about doing a horror film is that the fans are so committed and awesome and really devoted in a way that I had never experienced before that, or I hadn't really been a fan like that for anything, I think. And so maybe Buffy. I do really love Buffy. When people recognize me, it's always so lovely because they're excited. They're genuinely excited about the movie and about me. And that's nice. It's nice to meet people who appreciate the work you've done. So I always love that. But no, my life is normal. I can go up to the grocery store in my workout clothes, and for the most part, A-okay.
So a question on you. You mentioned liking horror growing up. What's one of your favorite horror films? Not to put you on the spot if you don't have a number one, but what's one that you like a lot?
I guess when I was a kid, I really liked Candyman. I thought that was a really scary one. And it's funny because you mentioned like me being a horror icon. It's like I don't personally feel that way. I just feel like me. And so people say that, I'm always like, oh, really? Huh. That's interesting. But I do understand on some level, like when I see Tony Todd, who played Candyman, I see him in something else. Like there is a part of me that kind of goes, kind of shudders. And so that's funny to think about in some ways that's how people react to me on some levels, because I'm so nice in real life.
Question for you. Do you, I try to pay attention to this stuff here, and I can't recall ever seeing it, but have you done any touring as far as like the conventions and whatnot? Because I've never seen like a Paranormal Activity gathering or anything.
No, I've never done any like signings or cons or any of that kind of stuff. The first thing I actually did was last week. There was a friend of a friend put together like a fundraiser thing for Houston for Harvey release, and she had a bunch of people in the horror world come and take pictures and sign things, and she had a bunch of stuff to auction off. It was really cool. And so that was actually the first thing that I did just to help her out with that. I would be open to doing them. I think it'd be fun to do, a few here or there in the future. I've just always been kind of busy with other things and hasn't been a priority, but I think it would be cool. It was really nice to meet fans the other day. So I was like, oh, this is actually pretty nice. So we'll see. Maybe I'll do some in the future.
Yeah, well, let us know when you do. Besides that, I was going to say, it's funny that you say you don't consider yourself a horror icon, because, you have people out there in prosthetics, makeup that definitely have that look. They're on the T-shirts, but I definitely see, the Paranormal Activity franchise, especially the original. It's one of those films where all horror movie people know it, but even people that don't watch horror movies, they know about Paranormal Activity, and you're pretty recognized as, hey, it's the girl from Paranormal Activity. So you definitely consider yourself a horror icon for sure.
Well, thanks. I still feel like I'm processing that entire experience. It's a crazy thing to be in the middle of that, and we just had no idea that years later I'd be talking with you guys on a podcast about it. It's pretty cool.
Absolutely. And speaking of having no idea, I was kind of disappointed or blown away. I don't know which way you want to take it, but you weren't in part 6. Like, you managed to carry the torch through the whole franchise. Were you approached to be in this movie, or at this point was this, you just had other things going on?
No, the one I shot before that was, I think they did like a spinoff, and they just had me in for like a day or two, Mika and I, and we actually filmed in Oren's house, which is where we filmed the first one. And so that experience felt very full circle to because in the first one, Mika and I would always we caravan down to San Diego together. We filmed the movie. And so here we are years later, caravanning in my car down to San Diego to film this scene in the house where we had originally shot. And so that was for the spinoff, which is the one right before the last movie. And so that experience felt like really lovely and full circle to me. And Oren was there, and it was really great. And then they made the sixth one, and they didn't approach me. And it was really, it was really okay. I really, I was a part of that for a really long time. And, life-changing in so many ways. And, but I also feel like it's also time to move on at some point. So I was, excited they were making a new one, but not sad for me, at least, that I wasn't in it.
And I like that you mentioned part 5, the marked ones, because my favorite ones of the franchise, I like the whole series, but it definitely goes like 1, 2, and 5, because when I saw the previews for 5, I was like, oh, this is kind of like a random movie, but it's called Paranormal Activity. Like, I guess they're going to kind of, like you said, spin off. But then as the movie gradually goes, it starts to get a little more relative. And I have to say, that in sequence, like when they brought it home, just like you referenced, I was in theater. I think I jumped up out of my chair. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Like the door, like that is so awesome. Like, cause I'm a writer. And so when I see a story that really gets me going, I let it out. And I just thought it was really cool that, you reprised your role again, but like you said, being that you weren't in 6, that was kind of turned full circle. So
yeah. I was really glad that Mika and I had the opportunity to do that. It was really cool.
Well, Katie, before we let you go, we just want to give you a chance to promote anything you got coming up, any projects coming up on the horizon.
Oh, cool. Well, for anybody who's listening, you want to stay updated on things, follow me on Twitter at Katie Diane, or on Instagram, Real Katie Featherston, or check out my website, katiefeatherston.com. And from there, you can look at there's links to like my production company website, my YouTube page, where you can see my web series that I produced and directed, and a short film that I produced and directed, both of which I'm in. And then there will be updates on a feature film that I'm developing right now. So that's the place to stay updated on all the things and see what's coming up.
Oh, that sounds great. Yeah, we'll definitely have to check that stuff out and see what you got going on with your production company. And it's really cool to see, the transition from, just how you started out to now you have a production company and you're actually creating your own films. So that's really cool to see. Yeah, once again, we just want to say thank you, Katie, for taking the time to be on our show. We really appreciate it.
Of course, guys. I was really happy to talk to you. This is so fun.
And thank you for listening to this episode. As always, you can find us on social media, on Twitter at Black Cat Podcast. If you'd like to reach Dave directly, he is at Phantom Dark Dave. You can also find us on Facebook and Horror Amino as well. And if you'd like to send us an email, our email is blackcatpodcast@gmail.com. Love to know that you guys are out there listening. And if you want to send Dakota an email directly, you can reach him at dakshadowbane@gmail.com. That's DAKSHADOWBANE@gmail.com. And our website is www.blackhatshadow.com. And there you can find all of our past episodes where you can listen to them directly, or you can find all the links where you can download them and listen to them at your leisure. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and pretty much anywhere else you can get podcasts. You'll also find the link to our eBay movie store, where you can buy yourself a cool movie and help us out at the same time. I try to keep it stocked with some hard to find stuff, some interesting stuff in there, so go check it out. And next week will be our final October episode. This should be a good one. We're really excited. If you are a fan of the Saw movies, we think that you will enjoy it as well. Just a little hint there. Remember, guys, to take a closer look at the world around you, and you may just find that it is stranger and more mysterious than you thought, especially in the Black Cat Shadow.